gamers, we're finally back and we're exploring Battlefield 2 maps, empty maps, no players on them. And this was a really interesting game to pick up. Battlefield 6 is coming out soon, so I decided to go back in time and look at the old games. And I was pretty surprised at the aesthetics and environments that I was able to explore in this game. Now, a few things of warning is we're mainly looking at the environment itself. I had a hard time finding specific places. There are some that we talk about, but mainly we talk about the ambience and the skyboxes and colors and just the general vibe of the area. Where normally I look at weird places, there's just not too much to look at in Battlefield 2. There's practically no buildings that we can enter and look at the inside. So that leaves us with just the environment, which is mainly just fields, some forest, and water. And something, I mean, look at this. This is just a factory. This is just a plant area. I mean, that's like the theme of a lot of these maps. It's just having plant structures. So I don't even look at some of the control points because they are just facilities. And I find that pretty boring. And I mainly want to stick to like interesting things to look at. So without further ado, let's get into it. Please subscribe and donate $500 so that you can be entered in a chance to be a cool guy. So, same thing as last time. The theme of the map is another plant that the Americans are trying to blow up. The thing that makes this map feel more interesting, however, is that you got these forests, gray clouds, and if you listen to the ambience, the whole thing is rather creepy. We have the sound of wind with a little bird tweeting, but then you have a female announcer that I imagine is coming from the plant itself. Also that buzzer thing. The weird thing about the announcer is that it always sounds like it's coming from your left ear. See, if you turn to face it, it's just going to keep coming from the same direction. And something I really like about these games is you can tell they couldn't render much, so every single map has the inclusion of fog. Every single map has fog or sandstorm, something that's blocking the long distance views, which I am a huge fan of. And I really wish we can go back to that with modern day games, just because I think it adds such a cool ambiance. Of course, like, this is kind of weird how as you turn left, you see things disappear in the fog. Not really realistic and breaks my immersion. Next map is Fushi Pass, which is another map based in China, and it's a mining facility. Of course, we got plant-like structures again, most of these maps. This is an actual area I want to show off. You have this shrine right above this waterfall. You got some pretty flowers, willow tree, and insane leaf movement mechanics, which is just the texture waving around. And this just seemed like a really chill spot. It's cool that they have this in a mining facility map where most of it is industrial, but they still included some nice spots. As for the rest of this map, pretty bare bones. You got some dams. And something I just want to quickly talk about that is really cool about Battlefield 2 that I didn't fully appreciate when I was younger playing this is how large these maps are. They are insanely expansive. I mean, you can see how far the control points go, especially like from up here we can't even see how far they go. This is a battlefield. Like, it's really impressive, the scale they were able to make. Here's the extent of the interior design of this maps. This is a building that is used a lot throughout the maps, and they don't even include windows, which it looks like these would be sliding glass doors, but the windows are already popped out, and then you can just walk through here. Like, what is this? What is the point of this room? This just goes to a window. There's no doors. At least, like, they have the illusion right here that there's some kind of room behind this door. But for the rest of this, it's just hallways that lead you through the building. And then there's a door right here that goes into a room that you can't get into on this side, which is an odd design choice. Now, not every map in this game is some kind of plant or facility that is really generic and boring. This is the first map we're going to look at that is a really interesting concept. And this map takes place on the Great Wall, China, which I think is really cool. They also had it take place during the fall, and you can see the leaves blowing off the trees, and they even included dead leaves on the ground. You got that cool air coming in, the crickets. So the main point, the middle of this map, takes place in this Chinese shrine area with temples and what looks to be like graves. There's very little interior design, so you can't go inside the shrines. Over here you can actually walk along the wall. The map ends around that door, but you can see the wall stretching on. It's honestly been really interesting re-exploring these maps in this game, because I played this game as a kid. I think I played the same 3 maps over and over again, so I didn't know they had maps in this game with such cool thematic elements, such as war zone on the Great Wall of China. And of course we got some deep fog going, deeper than the other maps, I believe. And some of the maps do this, and I'll point them out when it happens, because there's one map in particular that does it really well. You'll have a deeper fog that limits your visibility, and I think the visibility on this map is a little shorter, indicating that there is an actual fog going on, which makes sense because we kind of have the gray clouds and it's fall. So here is an example of a map where the fog is changed to a different color to resemble dust instead of fog that I mentioned earlier. And this is Highway Tampa, which takes place on this vast desert map during sunset. The lighting system in Battlefield 2 is really neat, and I really want to show off how the car looks before it explodes. But you can see how the car gets this vibrant glow on it of the sun shining. You can even see it with the gun as we face like different ways. I mean, this is like basic lighting, but I just think how glowy it is. It's really cool looking. It really makes the car stand out, and you can even see it upon the hood. As we do circles, as we turn away from it, we see it gets darker and different parts light up. It's very smooth, and I think a much more advanced lighting system than most games were utilizing. There's a really weird thing about the ambience that I heard. For most of it, you're hearing wind, and then occasionally you'll hear a crow. But then you'll hear like a song, like a man singing off in the distance to the left. Isn't that weird? Like, maybe it's just an instrument. I thought it was the dude singing, but it could just be an instrument. And this isn't the only map that does this. There's like multiple maps that have chanting or just a weird inclusion of the ambiance that you probably would never hear, especially if you're out and about fighting people. Cool skybox, cool vibes. I really like it. I think making this map at sunset really adds a whole new vibe to it. Here we got Kooper Dam. Can't see them from here, but you can kind of, that's a bridge, but there's some dams over there. There's a bunch of dams. They're blocking this water. But the main thing I wanted to show off was the sunrise that we have coming over, and this wind ambience, which I personally find kind of annoying. It sounds like screaming, and there's also sounds of machinery. So the ambience is not the best. I'm gonna try to hit a clip right here. I don't know if we can fit through this. Ooh. Oh, that's crazy. That's pretty sick. Oh, we could have gotten the list. Alright, here's the clip. Alright, now we move on to a really cool map, S-tier map here. Midnight Sun, night map. I love night maps. I think we need more of them. So this is Midnight Sun. Pretty cool vibe going on. You got the blues. You got the forest. You got the howling wolves. But listen to this. It's one of those maps with the really interesting ambience. It sounds like tribal dancing and chanting. Why did they decide to include that? Who's doing that? I mean, this is like an active war zone right here. And there's people making music somewhere. And who knows where they are? Are they in the mountains over there? And I want to point this off. I discovered this when picturing around this map. And I was like, no way. That's so cool. This car is drivable. I looked at this car and I was like, it looks too perfect. And I just, as a joke, pressed D on it. I was like, no way. They just have like a Mustang out here. I think it's a Mustang. This is real Battlefield right here. You don't see this stuff anymore. You can just be Ryan Gosling from Drive. Also on my notes, I put shiny water. But now that I'm looking at it, I don't think it's that shiny. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like Jello-like. It looks like it's very viscous. But I think most of that has to do with the moonlight. I feel like the older games really had a way with making their own kind of graphics, where nowadays everyone just goes for the most realistic looking stuff. You can tell there's kind of like a artistic expression with every item. The colors, it looks like an oil painting. And look at this grass. You got some like dark grass into the greens, some deeper greens, lighter greens, or faint. It's just brown reeds. I don't know, it's just, I love the colors. It's really cool. Look, you got like the Arctic mountaintops, snowy peaks on the mountains. Okay, what's crazy is the exact next map after Midnight Sun is Operation Blue Pearl, which is one of my favorite maps that I discovered in this game. This is the American starting zone. Insanely foggy. You start on this platform that's away from all the other checkpoints that are owned by the Chinese team. So we gotta get on a boat on over. And eventually you arrive at this temple with floating flower petals in the water. Just a cool little addition. They didn't have to do all that, but they did. This dice was goated back in the day. Past the temple, this is most of the map, is these kind of towns. Everything, a lot of gray colors. You can see there's a lot of spots for people to hide, and I'm just going to stop for a second. I want you to listen to the ambience. That's right. There is no ambience. The only sound you're hearing is the sound of these flagpoles, which play in every map when you get close to a flagpole. Without those, there is literally no ambience added to this map. It makes you wish this game had a zombie mode, because this would be perfect for zombies. The map is way more foggy than most other maps. You can see the view distance is very short. Just a really cool map. There's nothing really interesting to look at on the map like most of these maps. The vibes they were able to create with their limitations are just really impressive. You do not see maps like this. I think a lot of players would honestly be complaining about how they can't see, which I think has killed the creativity of a lot of multiplayer maps. Really cool map, really creepy. It kind of feels like I'm in a Silent Hill game. This is Operation Harvest farm map. Pretty obvious. Not much to show on this map as well, although I do really like the ambience because you have lightning, really loud thunder. Unfortunately, there are no rain maps. They just did not have the technology at the time. Yeah, this is a pretty cool map. Apart from that, I mean, the environment itself is pretty neat. You got these open farmlands and different trees, and just the skybox is very neat. And I like how they included lightning, because they did not have to do that. And there's different strikes, like that first one's 2, that was just 1. Nice attention. Let's move on. Alright, this next map I was really surprised by. This is a map that takes place in the United States on a highway system on the East Coast. And I have to remember which way I'm going. I think I'm going this way. Pretty sure I'm going this way. So we'll hop on the road here. This is cool. I really wish they would make more maps that take place in the United States for Battlefield, because I mean, you have a lot of American players just to be really familiar. Right here is the first place I want to take a look at. It's called, this point is called Mall, but this is not what I picture when I think of malls. Like, I guess I just didn't want to put like a giant building that you couldn't go inside, because that would take so much work. So they just have a steakhouse, which this is seen in like some Chinese-based maps, which is interesting. And then the weird-looking part is back here, which is blocked off. There's no way you can get a car back here, and it's the parking lot. They have a realistic, giant American parking lot. Super cool. Really weird, though, that you can't bring a car back here, because how else are you going to park your car? I'm not really sure what the design decision was for that, because this would be cool to have like tank battle or jeeps fighting each other. I don't know why you would ever go back here just on foot, unless you're just hiding, but I don't know. That's what's interesting about these old games and their map design, is some of it doesn't really make sense. You wonder what they were thinking. And the ambience itself I find to be really interesting, even though it's nothing special, but it does give you the feeling of highway ambience, just that constant air. I mean, if you've been on an American highway, you would know it kind of sounds like this in real life. Even have an occlusion of suburbs, which I find to be a little odd, because you can tell it's just very dated. This is supposed to be a sidewalk, I guess, but it looks like it's made of gravel because you have patches of grass. And then the road itself seems not that well done, and they just couldn't include that many trees. And so you have this really weird open space between houses. And this is a weird detail that I found. I'm going to show you. There's someone's swing set back here. Check out the sound the swing makes when you shoot the seat. Okay, that just glitched my game. What the hell? Like, I guess that makes sense, right? Because it would be full of like beads or sand. And what's also crazy is there's just this wide open land you can drive around to. There's no points out here. There's no locations of interest. You can just drive towards the American spawn or away from it. Dude, the sound effects of this are insane. It's just pure bass. Watch this clip I'm about to hit. Spawning in an actual interior. Look at this. Inside staircase. Super advanced lighting system going on right here. Another nice sunset map where we get that warm glow on all the buildings and vehicles. This map has one of the best beaches that I've seen. Not the best beach. I don't think it has the best beach. It also has a golf course, but I don't really care to show that off because it's just a golf course. Let's carefully drive down here. Easy drift in the park. Beautiful. Look at this. This is nice. We got the cool wind. Got the palm trees. Look at that. Look at that glow. And I correct myself. This is a sunrise. Insane glow. Can't even see. It's just pure white. And you got this lovely low tide. Can walk out into. You don't even have to go swimming. You just stand out. Okay, you do start swimming here. I guess the guy gets a little scared. The sand. It's definitely not that deep. Also comes with the best pool. Well, I wouldn't say the best pool, but a different kind of pool. They made a different pool model. I wish I had water in it. Then it would be the best pool. Because you got a pool right next to the ocean. Beautiful view. Little island out there you can go to. I actually want to check that out. Little island. You can chill out. Beautiful locale. Little rock in case it starts raining. Get under the rock. It's a cool map. I think very pretty. And I honestly should compare them to the Battlefield 3. And for the final map, we got a cult classic. Can't see all of it because of the fog, but Wake Island. I think this map has been in most Battlefields. People love this map, and this is what I would say is the winner for the best beach, purely because you have this very bright sand. It's a beautiful blue day, very little cloud coverage, palm trees waving in the wind, and then look at this water. This is some turquoise Baja Blast looking water. That's nice, and it's clear all the way out. It doesn't just stop. You just go for a nice. This looks like it would be a nice swim, and that's pretty much it for Battlefield maps. I had a really fun time, but I was really surprised at the variety of maps in this game. Really cool ideas that I'm surprised they haven't brought back. The foggy maps would be cool. More nighttime maps, please. Eventually, I'll look at Battlefield 3 maps because I really loved Battlefield 3, and there's a lot of maps I haven't played in probably more than a decade that I would like to see again and see if we can find any more interesting spots. So thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you want to see more. Make sure to leave a comment. Any suggestions for games you want me to check out, that's always appreciated because there's so many games out there that I'm just not aware of or don't remember. And catch you on the next time.